Good morning, tree lovers. Thanks for looking in on the EcoGeeko channel. Well, it's a lovely day at the end of March, a little bit cold, and I'm in Surrey, and I'm looking at this fantastic tree. It's over my left shoulder here. And this is the elm tree. Now, there's about 30, perhaps up to about 60 different species of elm across the Northern Hemisphere. And in the British Isles, just a handful. There's the field elm. Well, I'm at the edge of a field here. There's the Scots elm. I'm not in Scotland, but I think this is this one, the wych elm. And there's also the English elm. Now, the wych elm, the Scots elm, is the one that survived Dutch elm disease the most. So Dutch elm disease is a fungus. It found its way into the British Isles just after World War I, identified by the Dutch. It didn't come from Holland. It's identified by the Dutch in about 1922. And then there was a much more virulent form in the 60s. And together, these waves of disease knocked out something like about 20 million mature trees. Now, it's spread by a little beetle. And this beetle used to be called Scolytus destructor. It's now called Scolytus scolytus. I rather like the destructor name. Anyway, if a tree gets reasonably large, the little beetle is likely to see it. When the tree is larger, the bark is a bit more fissured, a bit more corky, particularly the wings here you can see are quite corky. And then she'll lay her eggs and the beetle will introduce the fungus into the tree and the tree will pretty much shut down. Now, interestingly, the roots survive because all of the parts underground, the fungus doesn't really get down there so well. And so new little suckers spring up, but they're exactly the same genetic makeup as the first tree that succumbed to the disease. So after about 15, 20 years, when the young sapling breaks through the hedgerows, guess what? The whole cycle repeats itself. And very rarely do you see them actually setting viable seed. So we're not getting any major genetic progress, and that seems to be a problem. Anyway, this one here is doing okay, and you can tell it's an elm by the lovely arrangement of the branches. Now, they're usually very, very sort of left, right, herringbone style, and very flat and two-dimensional. So you can see that through the winter. You get lovely little dark spherical buds through winter, and each of the little scales that protect the bud has little eyelashes. You can see it perhaps on this photo. Then you get these lovely little flowers in early springtime, little naked flowers with no petals, but there's unlikely to be very, very many of those around. You can be lucky and find them, but they maybe just don't pollinate each other very well. And then if they do develop through, then very quickly, within a few weeks, you get these little collections of fruits, and these are little samaras, the same name as the helicopters that we spin on a maple or an acer, but these are not helicopters. These are little more like little discus or frisbees, really, and they're little circular things with the seed sitting in the middle. But alas, again, the seeds are probably not viable, but you can eat them, and traditionally people did eat them. And they're quite nutty. Actually, they're quite tasty, but and they won't germinate, so perhaps I'll eat one or two more, who knows. Anyway, the other thing to look out for is the leaves, and the leaves are very typical, very easy to identify. They're asymmetrical, longer on one side as you go down the leaf stalk than on the other side, and that's quite interesting. And the wych elm, no relationship to witchcraft, but wicker, the wych elm has 3 points at its tip of its leaf, which almost gives the letter W. I think you see what I mean. And that's quite easy to identify. Well, this tree, the elm, is a really important tree in British culture. It featured in The Hay Wain by John Constable, and also The Seven Sisters in North London refers to historically a circle of 7 elm trees that were named after or positioned there after the 7 daughters of Robert the Bruce, according to legend. There's 9 elms in London as well, and they're there. There's 9 elms near, been replanted near Battersea Power Station. Some of the more recent resistant species that have been bred are now being planted and finding their way back in. If you want to see some really good ones, you need to go to somewhere like Brighton, which was protected by the sea and protected by the South Downs, and the beetle for some reason didn't really get a good stronghold in those places. So that's where Brighton and Hove, the elm trees are really, really good still. Now, the tree has also been used, the timber was really good and resisted rotting, so it was used for water pipes and sort of coffins and, really important sort of construction and furnishings through history. So maybe just one day it'll come back. If you find one, go up to it, give it a little hug. You can maybe taste the samara if you wish, if you know that you're not going to be allergic to it. And don't forget to subscribe to the EcoGeeko.